I am absolutely extraordinarily happy to be speaking and communicating with everybody today on something that is amazing. So, a couple weeks ago, I got this book. It's called Who, Not How. Green screen not working well. Okay, Who, Not How. So this book is absolutely marvelous. I don't want to read you the whole thing. I'm going to give you like a really quick summary of how to be specific in terms of, from Dan Sullivan's words, specificity is way important. But it talks about being radically explicit about your goals. When you speak of what you want, even one person hears. It may begin a generative loop, and it's by Joshua Wolfshank. And so what this book is all about is literally, how do I achieve bigger dreams? And the real question isn't like a step-by-step guide on how I can create this amazing process that's going to cause amazing things to happen, but it's using the number one resource on the planet. And this is really amazing because this book wasn't even written by Dan Sullivan. This was actually a book written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Great author, excellent read. The biggest thing that I have on this book is that it's opened my mind up to what I want to bring to the world. And I'm a very creative person, and I love bringing things to life. I can't tell you the countless things I've engaged in and caused to occur in the world. Some of the major things that I've, who, not how. I've been somebody else's who. I was able to generate an idea which caused, a lot of people today in government who enjoy 4-day work weeks, was because I had a communication in a car offering a solution to somebody who did make it happen. And, there's so many different ways I've been who's so many different people. Some things have been, creating software systems that have put hundreds of thousands of people in network marketing. I was a who for somebody that implemented some of my ideas. And now it's like some of my ideas that I've had come to fruition, like some of the things I want to do. Like I want to have a consistent food product available to many people. Similar to, I don't want the same menu because I think that no one does it better than In-N-Out Burger. But I want a similar menu that's really tight, really specific, really delicious food that can be delivered to the world. Because I'm sick and tired of the experiences that I have in 99% of the restaurants I go to that are inadequate. Mediocre is a wonderful place for them to get to. And I'm talking about even like 4 and 5 star restaurants that used to be 4 and 5 star restaurants. Going to them is absolute hell. And I'd love to have this experience. And so my envisionment for food truck maybe turn into a restaurant, because the risk level of restaurants is so enormous. It may just be a fleet of food trucks that cause people, because people, as the world normalizes, or maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, right? It's still up in the air. But and no matter what, people will stop at a food truck and go eat in a car, or have someone deliver it to their car, or do some kind of innovative thing with food trucks. And so literally, that's something I'm going to need a who for. And so this book talks about who, not how. So normally I would sit down and say, okay, what do I need? I need a truck. I need a cook. I need a this. I need a this. I need a this. I get stuck or caught up in the how, versus just finding one unique human being that will cause this all to occur in a bigger way, probably a better way than I'm even imagining right now. So it causes you to focus on like what resources, who resources, to implement the ideas that you have. Like I said, oftentimes in a better or dynamic way. I have so many different notes on this book because there's so many cool things to be said about it. Are you drawn to them? Treat your employees as an investment, not as a cost. There's so many times, myself included, in the past, how I would treat employees like, a necessary evil. And many times they are evil, and they need to go. Other times they're not a necessary evil. They're an investment in a great opportunity for you to create greatness in the world in which we live. One of the greatest opportunities, I've had in the past is employing people and causing people to have profits and causing my businesses to grow at different phases of my growth period. Before I've sold them off, before some of them that, they go through the whole life cycle to, exit at the end. Some of them exited by suicide or or murder. Some of them are murdered by me and let loose into the depths of the graveyards of business past. And some of them, make it into the hands of other owners who operate them in different capacities. Most of the stuff I've done in the past has been, more of creation, bring things to life, passing them on, and, even some things that were like taken from me for whatever reason, that was a joy too. And, I've had this new realization in life that I need a lot more people to make a lot more things occur in magnificent ways in the world, really extraordinarily fantastic ways in the world. And this book has really opened me up, and it's called The Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Hardy. And one of the things that I really think of in terms of, where else can we go, right? Where else is this off to? And the first thing that I have to come to terms with is I am absolutely excited for finding my who's, in all my businesses. I'm finding who's to run them, hopefully better. And some of the businesses need to go. That's probably been the hardest realization is coming into this is like the who, not how. Like, how am I going to do a relationship program? How am I going to get an investment information into people, become better investors so they can put their money to use in really intelligent ways and cause them to have massive windfalls of profit in their lives? And at the same time, how am I going to do some of the things I want to invent and create in the world? And the only way to possibly do all these things is by me absolutely finding the right who's to run the business. How am I going to get all this happening? Isn't like by creating this long list of how, but asking myself, who would be the ideal, perfect person to have this stuff occur for me, occur for my world, occur for the world in which I live. And this book really does that. I have one other quote that I want to read out of here because it really was, this is in the chapter takeaways. Your potential is virtually limitless when you stop asking how and start asking who. When you ask who, you can create results 10 times or 100 times faster than if you ask how. And all my life, I've asked how things can occur rather than who could make them occur. So when you start asking who, I've always dreamed of having a business mastermind, which I may incorporate rather than just do trading trainings. I may incorporate, businesses, because I love bringing business people together. I love bringing ideas together. I love formulating things that cause people to have more profit or more time in their lives. I have this sensational habit of causing people to lose employees by a number and cause them to have massive more profits. And, oftentimes not just firing employees, but moving them to other opportunities or creating new opportunities with those ex-employees. And sometimes you just need to get rid of dead wood, right? So sometimes shortening your staff to create the lifestyle that you want. Sometimes you need one person, not 12. Other times, you need, a whole team of people to take your stuff to the next level, and that's something I never realized, and so taking this book and reading this book and going through this path is giving me the opportunity with Dan Sullivan and Dr. Hardy is literally to open my mind up to a new conceptual possibility that the way I've been looking at things has been wrong for a really long time. And I don't mind saying I'm wrong about the way I look at things, because the most important thing is being able to shift your perspective and realize when something is either working really well or is not. And all my life, it's been really fearful to hire massive amounts of people. I've been let down terribly by so many disgustingly poor people. I don't mean poor people mind-wise. I mean emotionally poor people, mentally poor people. Let down, giving them tasks, the simplest of tasks, and been let down, but they weren't the right who's. So my focus, instead of finding somebody, finding the right body, you know, and I think that's dynamically different. And the book doesn't really talk about this, but this has been my formulation on it, is literally finding the who body versus just some body. Some body doesn't work well, but the right who body will work magnificent numbers. You know, and the book has so many different examples. It talks about Michael Jordan and how Pippin's when Jordan, when Scottie Pippen, when they played with Scottie Pippen, and you know, I mean, like how score if Jordan didn't have the team that he did, they would never get to where they were. And the book doesn't talk about it, but I mean, like recently, watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I mean, like you know, in 100 years, you can think, you know, it's like the Oilers of the 90s. You know, I mean, like bottom of the page. Maybe they make it to they make the sum happen, you know, the chips fall in the right place. They might make it to a playoff game. But if it doesn't fall in the right place, it has nothing. It doesn't do anything at all, right? So having the ability to place things appropriately, right? With Brady going there, with Brady picking out his linemen, picking out his linebacker, picking out his wide receivers. Brady was the right who, you know, and now they're going to the Super Bowl. This Sunday, they're going to play in the Super Bowl, you know. And what's amazing is like he took a team that was nothing and turned it into something magical. Tom Brady was the right who. And then he came in and said, I'm going to be the who's for who. And he brought in the right who's that caused him to have success, right? And that's like the magic of getting the right person for the right position. And this book has a lot of different things in it. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Hardy, you know, a lot of it's Dan Sullivan stuff like regurgitated through Dr. Hardy. But he's created a lot of systems in there which cause you to really go through it and really understand, really understand how to pick out the right who. I love they have a whole worksheet in there that takes you step by simple step on exactly how to find your right who. So when you go out there and you can discover like who's the right person for my business in this area, like, you know what I mean? Like, so one of the things that I have to do is I'm going to find the right salesperson. I'm going to find the right CEO / project manager for one of my companies. I'm talking to one person who does funnels like an animal. I need to find a Facebook ads person to start running ads for my multiple companies, as well as for my trading stuff, as well as for my investing stuff, as well as for my new programs and relationships. And we may scale back and just say, okay, which area is going to be the greatest thing? And we're going to have a project manager / CEO, someone who can guide into the CEO position. I do not run companies well. It doesn't mean I can't get more skills in it. My idea, finding great talent, is something I've always been really good at. So, you know, discovering now that I have clarity in like who am I trying to discover and what positions do I need right now, which are going to be most impactful for my moving forward, right? And so this book has been tremendous. Like the who, not how is probably one of the best books I've read in a really long time. And I stopped reading books. I used to read like 8, 10, 12 books a week. You know, I finally had to get to a point where I'm like, okay, it's time to implement life on a bigger, greater, more grander scale. And so that's what I chose to do, and that's what I'm doing now. And not to say I don't read anymore. This has been the first book I've read cover to cover. Most of the time I read them. By the time I'm like into half the book, I'm like, I mean, I've either read this stuff 3 times, I belong to a mastermind that's covered it, I've been through some program, you know, in the last 6 months or a year that's gone over this, and at least as good as I weigh, maybe even better. This book was really enlightening, and you know, I totally support anyone buying this book. It's magnificent, absolutely magnificent, stunningly wonderful. So huge accolades to Dr. Hardy and to Dan Sullivan.